Hey guys, this is Shedro.
And Pedro.
And today, to mix things up a little bit, we're gonna be doing a dramatic reading of a fan fiction.
Yeah.
We say dramatic, but we kind of mean just really awkward.
And to keep you amused while you read this, because there's gonna be no video or anything, here is a picture of my face photoshopped onto a turtle.
So today we're gonna be reading The Conversion Bureau Coexistence Part 1 Beta by Sekrios. Author's note, I do not own the Conversion Bureau or My Little Pony. The following takes place before, during, and mostly after the other fanfiction called The End, which was made by Midnight Shadow, not me. The only thing I made is this story, Coexistence, so please enjoy.
Okay.
I think we're gonna enjoy.
At least he didn't put a little smiley face.
Just please enjoy XD. Chapter 1. I have always asked myself, what is damnation? Is it when you are trapped and there is no way out? Is it when you have no other option but to suffer? Or is it when you lose every sign of hope, but in spite of that you still go out fighting? My name is Craig Turner. I am the Earth Ambassador and Human Representative towards Equestria. Whenever there was a feud between the humans and the ponies, I made sure to iron things out. I was once your average politician with a talent for persuasion until the greatest yet now most regrettable day of my life happened to me.
Uh-oh.
Several months after the equestrians showed themselves, I was busy in my apartment in my penthouse, watching the news for new developments on the ponies. My wife was washing up the takeaway, and my daughter was playing with Legos. I thought back to when I started to watch the news religiously.
Oh, news, praise be!
We have to make a sacrifice to Fox.
Slaughter a goat.
Sometimes people ask me why I spend so much time watching the news. I told them, because this is going to change everything. I never used to like the news, as it was full of bad news. War, famine, pestilence, and death. But when the ponies were discovered, the news changed. Good news? Well, that's a nice change. The best thing about these ponies, they were willing to help us.
Or so you say.
Ta-da.
Bum, bum, bum. Continue.
They fascinated me. Talking ponies? Was the world serious? However, on that day, I changed as well.
I grew a beard.
I have a blue shirt now.
I became a boy.
I heard the UN was keeping the ponies out because of financial risks, so I made it my life's quest to rid the world of these greedy rulers and change the face of politics forever.
Why would ponies cause financial risks? I mean, the world's already like a good $1 quillion in debt to Mars anyway. So
they poop everywhere.
So just the financial risk would just be cleaning street cleaners.
Yeah.
Paying street cleaners, not cleaning the street cleaners. Continue!
Where is it? Back on the couch, I felt thirsty. But before I had a chance to grab my cup of hot coffee, a mysterious vision came to me. The vision was blurred, but I could sort of make out some of the shapes. My vision cleared, and I was no longer in my penthouse with my lovely wife and daughter. I was in Equestria, the palace to be exact.
So you figured that out right away.
Just like, yeah, I'm in Equestria.
So I must be in Equestria in the palace!
Around me was marble floor and stone walls. There were marble pillars as tall as a tree.
What type of tree?
Redwoods.
Is it just like a hedge? It's just a tiny
like a shrubbery.
A tiny stick of marble hanging out of the ground.
I found a window beside me. Within brief moments, I took a peek outside.
I found a window. Holy crap! Look at that!
There was a landscape full of the brightest colors I have ever seen. The land was full of lush green grass and deep, thick trees. Closer towards the palace was a city, but this was no ordinary city. It was run by ponies and unicorns.
Shit everywhere.
For a city, I was amazed at how little pollution was. If only my daughter could see it, the clean air would do her asthmatic lungs well.
By the way, she now has asthma.
My daughter has been asthmatic for a long time now. The doctor said it was caused by bad air. I watch her spend her time alone in her room because she can't go outside to play. She envied the other kids, and I envied the other dads.
Why do I have to have such a dick of a child? I envy the other dads.
Yes.
That's just like saying, I hate this kid. Can you please kill it?
Because of her, I became a politician, and after a month's campaign, I single-handedly raised an army of protesters and boycotted the local coal power station.
So there's no power.
Yep.
Great. So what it's essentially done is propelled all of this town back into the Dark Ages.
Yep.
Good job.
I was proud of that moment, as I thought, for my daughter and everyone. However, there was plenty of other people who are not so fortunate. So I continued to be a politician to this very day. Back at the palace, I tilted my head upwards, where I saw a utopia made of clouds. The clouds were well formed, and the water was flowing with rainbows. With further inspection, I saw flying ponies with wings. I do recall such things being recalled as Pegasi. I heard a voice that came beside me. I hope you are enjoying the view. I quickly turned to the direction of the voice. I could not believe it. If my research on what was happening on the news reports was true, then I am standing in front of Princess Celestia. I quickly yelped that I was so close to her. Do not be afraid, she said, calming. I am here to talk. I didn't know what to say. All my life dealing with powerful people, but now I am dealing with a whole new level with power. I looked around frantically, coming up with an idea for a polite rebuttal, since I am in front of royalty. I am Craig. How may I assist your highness?
That's a very good rebuttal.
I took an elegant bow, sweating in the face.
Your face is expanding. Oh god, I'm sweating inwards again. Suddenly your face explodes in a shower of sweat.
Oh god. She chuckled in amusement. You are as much of a character as I thought, she told me. How do you know about me? I questioned. I heard your speech at the state elections, and I was charmed by your charisma and pro-pony policies. Would you be interested as an ambassador for Earth? I froze. She gave me a high-up job on a silver platter? Something must be up. But then I look at her innocent smile. She can't be lying, can she? Nothing was ever so easy. Are you serious? Why, yes, you are a kind man who I and the entire world can trust. It felt so heart-warming to hear someone or pony say that. I will happily serve you if it means saving this world. She smiled and gave me a list of different dates and instructions. I read the list carefully, and the term conversion bureau came up a lot. What is up with these conversion bureaus? I asked, intrigued. Celestia smiled and replied, You will find out in due time. Now it's time to take your leave. I will see you soon. Before I had time to speak, I was back in my penthouse. My family did not realize I was gone. Was this a dream? I asked myself. Was what a dream? Asked my wife, finishing from her womanly chores, now sighting on the couch.
Womanly chores! Clean that kitchen, woman!
Nothing, my dear, I said with a lying voice.
Nothing, my dear.
Nothing, my dear. I shook my head together and continued watching the news. I reached into my suit pocket to get out some mint gum when I found something I thought never existed. The list!
Schindler's List?
Yes.
Crossover!
Santa's list.
That's stupid.
Chapter 2. A week has passed, and I was making my way to the UN for the first official meeting with ponies involved. The UN meeting room was mostly dark, except for the bright selling lights. In the middle of the room was a large round table with a light blue world monitor. The chairs were fairly plush, and so was the drinking glasses, with their ice-cold water.
So it's just fluffy drinking glasses. The squishy.
Just pour water, it just absorbs it. You're like, oh.
None of it, they're made of ShamWows.
The UN was having a conference on what to do with the nation of Equestria. The world leaders all looked to one end of the table, which was a floating magic hologram display with Celestia on the screen. The stares of amazement from the world leaders amused her. They couldn't tell whether to ask for the technology or continue to stare. It was all very new to them.
Just straight up, there's a floating head on the monitor.
Yeah, and they're just like,
Can we have that?
I want it. The long stares stopped once the President of the United States asked his first question. Why can't you be with us in person, or pony? Celestia replied humbly, You really expect a deity to leave her urgent matters to make a long trip to a small meeting? Some of the world leaders nodded. Is there any agreements that could be made between yours and our countries? The President persisted. Celestia smiled and responded, There is one. I have been watching your countries closely and noticed great corruption, illness, and poverty. This is more than an issue of politics. This is human nature in general. We ponies, however, have a simple yet more rewarding way of life. I suggest we open buildings called conversion bureaus, where every man, woman, and child will have the chance to become a pony. The UN went silent, then began to talk amongst ourselves.
Okay, so if you were to be transformed into a pony, your entire outlook on life would be changed. So it would essentially alter your brain chemistry and everything.
So you're not the same person you were when you weren't a pony.
So yeah, they might as well just make new ponies. Just stamp them out. Just
kill the humans! Could we really do that? Whispered Germany to France. France responded, well, you did worse, with a sinister wink. Germany got angry. Keep our history out of this, you surrendering swine. France replied, well, I would imagine you would use such words since it is 100% of your diet. They got angry at each other and began to exchange kicks and punches. Before long, all the world leaders were beating each other up, depicting their unstable relationship.
These are world leaders. They're presidents and, people of stuff. And they're not going to be punching and kicking each other.
Like, fucking...
Damn you, France. It's just... Barack Obama's going up in the roundhouse kicking France in the face. It's just...
So... Celestia began to grow unsure of the humans fighting each other and felt regretful for offering. Soon a group of footsteps began walking into the conference room from the other side of the door.
It's just a group of floating footsteps. Footprints just floating through the door.
The steps grew louder and louder. Eventually the fighting stopped so they could listen out for who was going to enter the room. Their eyes began to widen as the door slowly slammed open. Before then was a man in a suit and a gelled hairstyle, who looked like a stereo, typical businessman. Next to him, either side, were two unicorn bodyguards. The one on the right had a yellow mane and a green coat. His cutie mark was of a pair of sunglasses and an earpiece. On the left was a light purple unicorn with a red mane. Her cutie mark was of a gun and helmet. The man in the middle was me.
Dun dun dun!
This was my big break at life. The leaders of the world stared at me, and I stared back with a smile. I grabbed a seat and made myself comfortable.
I'm just imagining someone staring with wide eyes and smiling as well.
Hello, world leaders! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Craig, and I shall be representing the beautiful Princess Celestia for now and future UN meetings.
Okay, another thing. This is going to be like 12 minutes, 12,000 hours long. But anyway, I don't think someone that official would say, "G'day, I'm Craig."
I'm fucking Barack. I'm President of the United States.
He's like,
let's have a tussle.
He's just fucking, "G'day, my name's Barry. You're Prime Minister of Australia. I'm going to take you all out for a beer." That doesn't happen. These people are posh.
I took a mint, then smiled my whitened teeth. Thank you, Leader School. Celestia smiled and said gleefully, well, you wouldn't mind if you took over for the rest of this meeting. I have people to banish to the moon.
People? This is just going to banish random people from Earth.
Just like someone buying melons.
Bitch.
From that moment, my smile dropped. I didn't know what to do. I just followed the first instruction on the list, and now she expects me to pilot the entire delicate issue? And what was that about banishing people to the moon? Was I next if I screw up? Okay, I had to improvise. Who likes freedom? Oh dear, how did I say that? The most basic question of politics, and I would expect them to buy that. What was I thinking? The president stood from his seat to me. Son, parentheses, figure of speech, I don't know what you were doing so close to them ponies, but I would be pleased to see you elaborate. Through that small window of relief, I cleared my throat of coffee.
Coffee flies out all over the table.
The coca flavour seeped round my lungs with a warm aura. When I look at the world, I see neither sides nor borders. All I see are people and dreams. Humanity is currently facing hardships, and the probability of surviving to the next millennium is 1,000,000 to 1. I say we have no right to doom everyone to the same fate if they cannot handle it. They have an alternative choice to escape this fate by becoming a pony and live in Equestria. Surely we have no right to control a man's ability to choose. Even more intense than the first time, the leaders gasped and started to argue again. The president calmed them down, and they all turned back to me. Are you suggesting that humanity was to simply give up? I gulped and looked up at him with a sincere face. Yes, MR, President. They began to shake their heads in disappointment. The purple unicorn, rapid fire, whispered in my ear, Maybe this was a bad idea. I shook my head in anger and pointed at all of them. Just as I suspected, even our own leaders don't have the guts to try something drastic to save the people. Mark my words, this planet will see a brighter future one day or another, and when I'm through with this, you would wish you listened. I turned around and marched out. The two unicorns followed. Don't beat yourself up, Craig, said the green unicorn, shield a lot. I became so cold, not even the coffee could warm my being.
Shut up about coffee! God damn it!
This world is dying, and it does not even realize it. If I stay and watch, there may no longer be a world. I will not let that happen. I must not let that happen.
And I won't let that happen.
The ponies are our last chance, and if I don't get the world to seize the moment, then I am no better than the president. A floating magic monitor began to follow me. It was Celestia.
Just...
She smiled and asked, How did it go?
Just like...
How'd it go?
How did it go convincing the world leaders not to die?
I stopped dead in my tracks, right in front of the entrance door, my fists clenched in frustration. I have failed you, my princess, I said quietly. I was dreading how she would react. If I was banished to the moon, how was I supposed to breathe?
Oh no! That's not really the first thing I would think of. If I were to be banished, how would I breathe? Oh my god.
I understand. Well, it was worth a try. The monitor floated away. As the monitor appeared further and further away, I began to cry. I had a dream job and I blew it on the first day. Maybe I was not cut out to save the world. Suddenly voices were playing in my head. Getting louder and louder, they beamed to make sense. It was the screaming of men, women, and children. Was this the guilt of my failure? Was it what is yet to come? Or was it the sound of the world itself dying? Most people would have thought they have gone insane, and maybe they would be right. Soon my ears started to bleed, and the world around me was fading into a dark wasteland. The ground was made of the corpses of the thousands as if they were massacred by each other. Before things got too intense, I gave in and screamed, Wait! Celestia's screen flown over to me, feeling kind of confused. What is it? She asked. Don't give up on me like this. You changed my life, so please don't destroy it now. All the ponies, all the peace and friendship. Humanity needs it. She giggled in amusement. Humans are complicated creatures. I looked deep into her eyes and told her, Give me a month and the UN will do as you ask. She gave her troll face smile and nodded. The monitor faded away, and as I stood up in silence. What now? Asked Rapid Fire. I turned down at her with a devilish grin. The world is a chessboard, and the UN is my opponent. Let's go practice politics. Chapter 3. I was working alone in my penthouse basement. It was dark, cold, and slightly eerie. I was working on a little surprise for the world that shall make them more aware on the dark situation. Shield-a-Lot trotted downstairs with some delicious coffee and mint. After smelling the coffee, I already knew he was behind me. It was nice of Celestia to give these two unicorn bodyguards to assist me. For some reason, I felt very comfortable near them, as if I grew to understand them more than humans. Maybe it's because I'm smarter than humans, and these ponies meet my IQ level.
Good lord.
After laying the tray next to my work, the green unicorn stared at my work, while stirring my coffee with magic. What are you working on? He asked. Nothing much, just a little thing that will change the world as we know it, I said, pleased with myself. Your daughter and wife are in bed. Do you need anything else? That would be all, thank you. The unicorn nodded and made his way back upstairs. After a little toiling and a few sips of coffee, my work was done. I lifted it up. It was a vial with purple liquid inside. The bubbles stood still, and the colour made a spooky glow that filled the room. The glass on the vial was warm, and so was the metal lid. I just knew it was ready.
It's ready!
2 days later, me and the wife was watching the news. However, this time it was urgent. Breaking news in today as a plague outbreak was spread over to New York. No one has died yet, but if left unchecked, people may be hurt. Side effects may be blisters and sneezing, which, by the way, is how it spreads. So that's another reason to say it, not spray it. Parentheses, I forgot to mention this was Fox News. Some scientists looked in great detail at the virus and realized that it only affects humans, so I bet those stupid ponies are scot-free this time. The TV turned off. I turned around to see my wife holding on to the controller. She was upset. I hope she does not know. She turned to me and said, "It's another sign that God wants humanity to change their ways. I just know it." Parentheses, she is a Catholic. Not this mumbo-jumbo again. Parentheses, what a relief. You have no faith, so our opinion does not matter. I got angry and said, "For a matter of fact I do, and it's something that exists." She gasped and also got angry. "Yeah? And what would that be? Magic, bitch!"
Mm-hmm.
There was an unnerving silence. I stood to realize, even though I think outside the box, I still suffer from the primitive outbursts of which us humans have. Magic? What are you on about? My phone conveniently rang for a text. The ringtone was of MLP. I looked at the text, and it was for another UN meeting. I'm sorry, but there's laughed away.
Okay. They're not going to text you to say, "Oi Dave, can you come back to..." Oi Craig, there's a new UN meeting. Can you please come? Cheers, Gavin.
SARS can't make it, eating pizza.
Wife's been bitch.
Have to sleep on couch. As I moved towards the exit of the penthouse, my wife grabbed my arm. I turned to look at her face, and though she was young, her face crinkled up a little with sadness. "What happened to the man I love? What's up with all these ponies?" "It's not my thought, dear. It was the world." I walked away in silence. I could hear nothing but my own footsteps. Then I closed the door, leaving her alone with those last words to think upon. The UN meeting room was dark as usual. The UN was troubled with flooding complaints, all with their own reason to complain. The leaders started to talk to each other in hopes they could find an easy way out of the mess they was in.
Okay.
Because, they don't fucking talk to each other in the first place.
If you've seen a UN meeting on the telly, it's not dark. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a serious place.
I think he's imagining, Monsters vs. Aliens, like the meeting room there, or whatever, where it's, always, the conspiracy room with, the big TVs all up on the screen, and, missiles are being launched all the way in Kentucky, and shit like that.
Idiot.
I burst through the door once again, with a sinister grin on my face.
Hello.
Oh, how every facial muscle released a hint of happiness in my mood. The UN went silent. "Surely you must have heard of our predicament. Do you have any suggestions?" begged the president. I grabbed my gum and began to chew it. As it cooled my moist lip, I began to speak. "As you are aware, the plague only affects humans. If we were to find a cure, we would have to study on ponies to find a cure. However, I do believe that you don't let ponies in your country, do you?" I see where you're going with this, and if we must, okay. I smiled and decided to milk the man for what he was worth. Equestria will send their finest pony scientists to help find a cure. However, we will only do that for a few conditions, which I assume you already guessed what some of them are. Go on. First, ponies are allowed to migrate in your countries and shall have the same laws and rights as yours while on human soil. Second, Equestria is sacred land and no human can tread on it without Celestia's say-so. And finally, the conversion bureaus shall be legal. The president stroked his chin and thought. The other leaders were speaking to each other again. No deal, there's too much paperwork. I fake coughed to give a telltale sign I won't take no for an answer. I slid some files onto the table. The president began to look at them in shock. "But I never agreed to any of this." "Are you sure, MR President? There are a lot of signatures on it." The papers were deals in making the plague and distributions. "You got yourself into this mess, and you're the only one who can get us out of it." "But I never—" I interrupted him by leaning forward and whispering in his ear. "I know about the assassinations and the camps, MR President. If I were you, I would accept this petty little war crime and agree to our terms, or else this goes public." As I leaned away, I smiled even more sinister than before. The two unicorns stared at me with uncertainty. "Well, this must have been some sort of terrible paperwork error I made. I'm terribly sorry, everyone." All the world leaders frowned. "Just sign these documents to our deal and Equestria will gladly clean up your mess up." The president blushed with embarrassment. All the other leaders were convinced and also managed to sign the documents. The president reacted how I wanted him to react, and now everything is according to plan. "Don't worry, MR President. What happens within these walls stays within these walls." I gave a mocking smile and a wink to break the ice.
He's not on a date. "So, MR President, what do you do?" he said, curling his hair.
The meeting was over and I walked towards the desk at the entrance. I walked up to the secretary and paid her $20 for forging the documents.
How generous.
I walked to the restroom next to the janitor's office. "What are you doing, sir?" asked Rapid Fire. "I have to take a leak. Too much coffee," I lied. The restroom was smelly. I walked to the sinks to wash my face. What have I done? I made a plague and pinned it on the president. I should have been proud, but I was full of guilt. People could have died. After washing my face the 5th time, I stared back at myself in the soaked mirror. Was I doing this for humanity, or was I doing this for Celestia? Actually, what is humanity? Nothing more than a pile of ungrateful filth. Before I knew it, my conscience shifted. I don't care if someone did die. In the end, they would have got themselves killed anyway. All this poor diet and pollution, they might as well sell cyanide with their milk money. I then grabbed a pen and drawn Celestia on the wall out of utter emotion. If humanity ever wants to be saved, they must be guided. Celestia shall be their shepherdess, and I shall be their sheepdog. I smiled with the most insane feelings I have ever felt. So what if the majority will be ponified? Humanity at its purest was never a body, but rather a collection of consciousness. As I walked out the room, I was a new man. A stronger man. A smarter man. A better man. To be continued. So that was the Conversion Bureau Coexistence Part 1 Beta by Sekrios. I don't know if he's made any more since, because it's like a year old.
Let's hope not.
So this has been Shadro,
And frankly...
and we'll probably never do this again. Bye, turtle.